for the addiction. I will pardon their course for that. I'm joking, obviously.
I couldn't get by without my daily dose of Lady Gaga, I'm sure, and that's a joke as well for anybody listening who.
To be fair, some celebs get it. I mean, Kevin Smith. If you follow Kevin Smith, and his the people that are around about him, like Scott Mosier, and these guys get it. I mean, invariably they won't actually. They use Twitter to talk among their own friends and family and stuff. And they do occasionally talk back outside that. But they get it. They are genuinely using the service as it's supposed to be used. And he also throws in, like, I'm playing such and such a college tonight, come along. That type. He does that obviously as well. But Kevin Smith gets it. He's a funny bloke as well, really funny bloke.
I think if we're also mentioning people getting it, I think also Stephen Fry, he wears his heart in his sleeve and tweets what he feels. I think he's genuine on Twitter.
He used to blog, He's actually a very interesting guy. I subscribed to his blog about 3 years ago, or within months since he started, and I think he almost quit his blog. He maybe blogs about once in 2 weeks or so, maybe almost once a month now, and that's because he basically decided to use Twitter to do his communication.
He's a genuine. Speaking from my opinion, he's a genuinely charming man. I follow him on Twitter, and that is one of the reasons why. Obviously, I still use Twitter because I don't believe he's on Identica. But there's quite a few people, and there is quite a few people in the public eye that do use it genuinely. There's quite a few that don't, I think. But sorry, I didn't mean to distract with that. Moving on, if nobody else has got
right. Since we're this segue comes in just beautifully, as if we couldn't have actually planned this out. We didn't. It happened to be coincidence. But neither of the three of us, none of the three of us will ever work for the State Department. And why is that? It's because the State Department has decided that the people they look to hire, they'll look at their Twitter feeds and their Facebook feeds and whatever. And if you mention WikiLeaks, you won't be hired. So none of us will work for the State Department unless they suddenly get an outbreak of common sense. So how's that for a segue?
Right, well, on that note, and thank you very much to Gordon, who I hope is going to send me the show note for that, so I can put it onto my website. We're going to go on to Roy, who's going to start us off with his views, thoughts, musings about the WikiLeaks stories to date, and obviously the news that's been in today's press online. Roy, over to you.
Right. We don't have this scripted or planned, but I'll just try and go through the developments very quickly. I think on Sunday night, the Cablegate thing was starting to trickle in. I think you could actually find some clues at the end of last week that the U.S. Department of State, if they have such a thing, was aware that it was going to arrive at some stage and was quite concerned about that. But only on Sunday night, and then on Monday, at all the coverage in the news, the leaks started to come out. And for all I can tell, we only have a few hundreds of them having been processed and sensibly redacted out of like 250,000, which is going to take a while to process. And I found quite a few very interesting ones. And you see people already being fired off of these leaks. People who are, say, people who work for the government who were found to commit acts of treason or inappropriate statements they made. And even relationships between countries are starting to be a bit shaky. I think the Turkish leader, I think it's the prime minister or maybe a person who works for him, is suing the United States or suing certain people in the United States for suggesting they had a Swiss bank account. And this is just, within days of the thing starting. So most countries don't seem to mind the situation. They don't really seem to mind WikiLeaks all that much. And Russia is sort of making fun of the States now. Even Pravda is making fun of the United States for being so concerned about the site and trying to shut it down. Now today was a sort of a turning point because after to, well, I think yesterday they managed to get the site off of Amazon. So Amazon wasn't forced to basically kick out the WikiLeaks website, or the hosting at least, but Amazon was pressured by people including Joe Lieberman, and it basically let the site go, and they couldn't quite serve certain people who were looking for information. They didn't have the capacity in terms of servers. And then Amazon was trying to distort the reasoning for what happened. So they, as far as I can tell, issued a statement trying to blame something to do with the denial of service attack. And WikiLeaks responds by saying that's a lie. It's basically because the politician told them to get rid of the site of the hosting. And now we have Ellsberg, who's with the big famous leaker from the Nixon days, who was sending lots of documents to the New York Times at the time. And he's calling for a sort of a boycott of Amazon and complaining about them very loudly now. So Amazon is getting a lot of flack for it. And now the most recent thing is them trying to pull DNS. So if you go to wikileaks.org, and I did try it in here, you don't really get any redirection to the IP address. You don't have any address reservation, would you say? You don't really get to the IP address of the website. You could actually go to the website by putting in the IP address, but if you go to the actual official address of the website, you won't get there. So now they're starting to play with the infrastructure of the internet, things like DNS and the TLDs, to try and put WikiLeaks out of the internet. And this is because they couldn't just avoid giving it so much attention. I think it would be better if they just avoided showing so much fear, then people would not pay attention so much. Lots of people who are skeptical about the government, about wars, they know that they have something to hide because they're so nervous about this website. And there is no way they can shut down this website because now we have like at least 20 big mirrors of the site in different jurisdictions. And the content is out there. Now there is more allure to when it comes to the content, because obviously that's something that somebody doesn't want you to see, so obviously you do want to see that. And this is also very important fact. I don't necessarily agree with the things that WikiLeaks does and everything it does and what it releases and how it releases things, but this is extremely important because now you see that even though they publish true things and they don't actually break in any obvious way any of the laws, they're being shut down for disclosing something which is true and which scares the United States government, which controls the internet to a great extent, and they use their power to exclude sites they don't like. And if WikiLeaks goes down, next up, they are going to do more sites later of that sort. So that's the danger now.
Well, I mean, just as if to prove it was badly handled. I'm sorry for everybody listening, my voice might crackle out. It's But if people remember, I was criticised a couple of shows ago for mentioning apathy in regards to the WikiLeaks. To be honest, at the time, I wasn't particularly interested in what was claimed to have been leaked and who said what about who. However, the handling of this whole incident now and all these sort of scandals that have arisen around these leaks has now made people like myself very interested in what's going on, because we're thinking, well, hey, there's all this fuss over whatever was contained in these leaks. Somebody is obviously not happy that this leak has occurred, and now I'm interested. And I think, if people just sort of hung back and, let this run its course, people that are interested can obviously look at it, which is arguably their right to do so if it's out there. But what they've done now is they've now created an air of suspicion, if you like, an air of excitement, and people will now start sharing this stuff. They will start showing other links to it. Purely out of, for want of a better word, excitement, out of excitement of the whole leak issue and the subject itself. So I think it's been very badly handled, whatever is the truth behind the DDoS attacks, etc., etc. So what I would say, Roy, sorry, before I go to Gordon, I was looking at an article on Torrent Freak, and it's claiming here, and it's the 3rd of December, so it looks to be current, that WikiLeaks has moved to domain registered by the Pirate Bay in Switzerland. I don't know if we mentioned Pirate Party, sorry. Pirate
Party in Germany actually offered some help to WikiLeaks before, I thought you were going to mention one of the articles about one of the sharing sites moving off the .com suffix, basically, because that's controlled by the United States. And quite a few people now start to move away from anything associated